So what are some things I think that could improve the life of ordinary Japanese people? Perhaps a lower mercury content in their diet, because they eat a lot of fish, contains lots of mercury. A better work-life balance. They've got a pretty grueling work culture. Maybe, some even better defences against earthquakes and tsunamis. These all seem to make sense to me.
What about mass immigration from Africa?
Yeah, that seems to be a little bit different. You know what would make Japan better? If they went to the most antithetical continent to their way of life and got as many of them as possible and created effectively ghettos to import them en masse. Here's a story.
What about India and Pakistan? We don't want to forget them.
Well, we'll be getting to them,
right,
don't worry.
What about China? There's hundreds of millions of Chinese who would love to live in Japan.
I know, yeah. They're particularly keen to work in areas of, state secrets, defense.
Intelligence.
Right. They're just really enthusiastic about those industries. Don't read too much into it.
Remarkable. Remarkable.
この動画は、日本は移民を選択と題し、日本の移民、対外関係政策への強い懸念を示しています。JICA が、木更津、ナイジェリア、長井、タンザニア、三条、ガーナ、今治、モザンビークを各国の公式ホームタウンと決め、特別ビザを設ける構想が動画内で紹介され、出演者は非常に驚いています。では、早速、内容を順に見ていきましょ
う。But here's the headline. 4 African countries get official hometowns, special visa categories in Japan under migration deal. And this is under, of course, the Liberal government, which recently became a minority government because they got a beating in the most recent election, which I believe you covered, didn't you, Bo? And there's now a rising right-wing party, which was only set up in 2020, called Sensaito, I think it's pronounced. And they're now the 3rd largest in Japan. So they're sort of having this accelerated version of what's happened to other Western countries, but in a much shorter span of time. And of course, the Japanese being a lot more unapologetically in-group, I suppose is the polite way of putting it.
That's a very polite way of putting it.
Has allowed them to deal with this with a lot more urgency than perhaps elsewhere. And I'm going to read what this actually entails because it's sort of mad. I've never heard of this be approached in this way in all of human history, as far as I'm aware, and I was very surprised. So I'm going to read what it says here. It says, the Japan International Cooperation Agency has assigned Kisarazu, I'm going to butcher these, I'm sorry, I don't speak any Japanese, so if you are watching in Japanese, I'm sorry, in Chiba Prefecture as the hometown for Nigerians, Nagai in Yamagata for Tanzanians, Sanjo in Niigata for Ghanaians, and Imbari in Ahime for the Mozambicans, which is quite honestly a surprising mix of African countries as well, because you'd think if you were going purely off of, say, state of development, you'd want people from Botswana, because they're one of the most advanced African countries. Funnily enough, they didn't adopt African socialism and didn't get rid of their colonial masters. But
the thing is, right, there's how many Botswanans are going to go, right?
Well, they got the going good. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, for some reason, all of these, like, mass immigration programs never question why all these people are desperate to leave their own countries and why those countries are happy to export tens of thousands of their own people. Because, of course, if they're like, well, we want to live in a rich country, well, why are you exporting your own workforce then? Because they're like, yeah, well, we're never going to be a rich country. In fact, it would be better if these guys weren't here, because then things would be marginally more improved. So you guys take them. And
we're so bad that having more of us is detrimental, basically, is their own admission.
But why else would you be exporting loads of your own population?
Are the countries of origin not worried about brain drain?
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're not. No, yeah. They're not worried about that.
Weirdly, it doesn't cross their minds, does it? You know? Like,
that's the Botswana thing. It's like, I'd still rather not.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Where are you from? Botswana. Oh, great.
I mean, I'm sure Botswana's lovely, but the point is, there's a reason they're not doing it and these other countries are, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like, anyway, sorry.
But you're right, it is a bit odd to have, like, just one particular town and everyone that comes here from Ghana You have to go there and live there only.
Well, if you think about it, it's kind of sensible and kind of old worldy, right? Because I mean, it used to be like, think of like the what was it, the Portuguese or Dutch colony?
I was going to say this, yeah, exactly.
The Assyrians used to do the same thing. The Carthaginians used to do the same thing, where they'd have a little enclave, and it's like, yeah, you work from there, and that makes it easy to deal with, actually. But it also means they're not at liberty to just explore the country.
I think they've explicitly said the concept is similar to Chinatowns or Little Italies in the United States.
I wonder if their freedom of movement will be restricted. It's like, we want you to live there, we'd like you to live there, we may even sort of formally make your residence there, but we're going to actually prevent you from travelling somewhere else in Japan if you want to. They're actually going to do that. I don't know, but...
They didn't necessarily say so. I've not been able to find out. Each get given a shock collar, perhaps, if they go out their territory.
Yeah, how could you really prevent them from spreading out?
It doesn't seem to be a possible thing, really, does it? Unless they've got, they've got to report to someone like they're on probation or something, which I don't know whether they would do that. But they explain this because each city, and this is a direct quote, has strategic or historical links to its assigned country. Kisa Razu hosted the Nigerian contingent of the COVID-19 delayed 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
That's a historical connection, is it?
So the Olympic team stayed there
in 2020
for a little bit.
So import Nigerians.
Yes, that's not a justification, I'm afraid. They're trying to find them. Nagai, Sanjo and Imabari were paired with Tanzania, Ghana and Mozambique to promote cultural and economic ties, but they didn't have historic ties, obviously, because why would they?
How would they?
It's Yatsuke. They're all tied through that black samurai that we're told is definitely real. No. So they also mentioned that they're aiming to strengthen relations with Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana and Mozambique, which at face value seems like, why are you doing that? What's the deal with that? Why does that matter to you?
Is the answer GDP?
No.
How is it possibly in Japan's interest to do that?
China is in Africa, and obviously the Japanese and the Chinese, not the biggest fans. The Chinese, obviously, they've got their Belt and Road Initiative, and I think that this might be an attempt to try and foster some goodwill, because my understanding of Africa, and you might have seen this one before if you're any students of 19th century history, is that lots of developed countries are jockeying to have primary access to the rich resources of Africa. This sounds awfully like colonialism, and it sort of is. We just don't have any troops on the ground.
I'm just reading what it says on the screen there. So, I mean, they're going to look for highly skilled, innovative, talented young Nigerians to go work. Hey, for some reason, these people don't want to work in Nigeria. God only knows. But they say Japan faces an aging population with nearly 30% of its citizens at 65 and above, and fewer than 60 working age individuals per 100 retirees. So they are just going for the same population replacement that we are.
Yes,
We've got a bunch of old people, and we need Africans to look after them until they all die, and then we'll just have a country of Africans rather than a country of Japanese people.
And there's also, to accept the premise at face value, which I do not, but just to argue it for the sake of it, it's kicking the can down the road, isn't it? Because if you import people because you don't have enough people, well, the thing about people is they create more people, and if you've got more people, the problem is exactly the same, if not worse in the future.
They'll grow old and require help as well.
Yeah, right. And the people from the third world quite often will their reproductive rate is even higher. So the generation after that, there's even more old people.
So the mathematics of it don't even work.
It doesn't make any sense.
And
it doesn't make any sense.
The sacrifices
pensions are a pyramid scheme, and we have to admit this.
And of course, as well, you don't have to debate it on its own terms. You can just say, African people are at odds culturally to the Japanese, and I don't think
sure they fit right in. What are you talking about?
A very fastidious, neat and tidy and polite culture, and people from Africa. I don't see it working.
My wife and eldest daughter went to Japan for 2 weeks, right? And my wife comes back and she's telling me about it, and they're like, yeah, they were really racist against us. Like, they wouldn't sit next to us on the trains and stuff like this because we were white English. I mean, and that's towards the English.
I would sort of be weirdly honoured by that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not good, but like I'm saying that's just the way that they are, right? So it's just like, okay, right. I'm sure they'll fit right in.
So putting loads of people from Mozambique in the middle of Japan.
How could this go wrong?
Mm-hmm. Because, of course, Mozambique's not known for its, development or its academic heights necessarily. I'm being somewhat euphemistic.
And the thing is, all I'm saying, Japan, is that don't do this. We've done this, and look where we are. We've got, essentially an ethnic insurgency in England at the moment.
I mean, Mozambique, if I'm not mistaken, has an AK-47 on its national flag.
I didn't know that.
I'm just going to double check myself.
I think Angola has, isn't it? It's probably more than one country, actually.
No, Mozambique does. It's a hoe and an AK-47 with a bayonet. But don't worry, guys. There's also a book and a star.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
I love that. There's an AK-47. That's funny.
What are they going to bring to Japanese society? Child soldiers? Like, what is that? How is it's just simply not
To
in
get
the
around
interest
the-
Well, no, what they're going to
of
bring
the
is
Japanese people.
people who
do
look
this.
after old people, because the Japanese.
Just that.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
what they're
of course.
saying. Obviously, they're going to get all of the same problems with diversity that that Europe has had. Why aren't you learning from our mistakes? This is not a solution to the problem.
So there was one thing that I did spot. I had to do a little bit of digging. So an official on the Nigerian side also confirmed it included blue-collar workers. So that means that, in the many 7-Elevens Japan has for whatever reason, it's going to be Nigerians behind the counter rather than a Japanese person. And that's basically what I see that as an admission of, because
What do you mean?
what kind of blue-collar workers is Japan in need of, really?
You are going to go down the same road that the Europeans are. You're like, okay, well, it's only 50,000. That's a start. That's not much. And it's the first thing is 50,000, and then you'll end up with like 1 million a year, like we're getting. And then you'll realise that your politicians have essentially flipped to being their representatives and not your own. And then you'll be like, okay, well, why is this happening? And then we'll just be here going, why did you do this? We told you. We are the bad example. You should be warning against.
Well, the thing is, isn't it? It's imposed on them against their will by their Liberal Democrat government.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Your average Sansito voter, your average Japanese person, I can only imagine, isn't gung ho for this.
Yeah.
Right. It's literally the Lib Dem party, isn't it? It's the governing party.
Well, the number of
They've just decided they're going to do this.
The number of videos I've
suicidal.
seen of Japanese people on either public transport or in lifts actively holding their nose around
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
people from Africa.
Like,
Even if they don't necessarily smell, it's just precautionary, and they're not afraid to
they were
show
racist enough against the English. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
oh my god.
It's funny, isn't it, how like the liberal project globally is sort of shameless. They'll do it even to a society that's got the strongest of in-group preferences, like Japan. They're trying it even there, or semi-successfully so far. I just hope that, like, at the very next general election, that Sansito fella can win outright, form a government, and reverse all this.
Oh yeah, get it reversed sooner rather than later.
It seems to be on the right trajectory, at least. Like they stand a much better chance at recovering well from this sort of thing
Fingers
than
crossed.
we do, for example.
what-
Obviously, we're much further along.
One thing for the Japanese to remember is that the liberals are concerned about systems. They're concerned about making sure your welfare systems are maintained into the future. And they will literally sacrifice the country and nation itself in order to preserve the system. So they don't care if in 100 years' time there are 0 Japanese people and 100% Africans or Indians or whoever else, as long as the pensions are being paid, as long as the welfare payments are being paid. And so you've got to question yourselves, are we going to sacrifice our historic inheritance, the nation, for a series of 20th century institutions?
What will
That's the
happen
question.
Next is that your country will be redefined as a group of institutions rather than by its people. And of course, it's absurd to suggest that a nation isn't made up of its people, because if it has no people, there is no nation.
Precisely.
And to fly your own flag, or to express that you've even noticed that you've been replaced, will be beyond the power, even criminal.
Yes.
So-
Flying the Japanese flag would be far right.
So complain while you still can.
But it's not just Africa that's getting involved. India as well. The Prime Minister has announced a deal with India to import over 50,000 Indians. There are already plenty of Indians in Japan, actually. I've seen lots of shopkeepers in particular, you know.
Yeah.
If only Margaret Thatcher had met Indians before, and she would never have called England a nation of shopkeepers, because it's clearly India. But they're also going to invest 10 trillion yen. I'm not sure what the conversion is for that, but it sounds like a lot. It's probably not that much.
Like £12.50.
But they're investing in India, and there's this partnership deal, which I think is the beginning of something rather than the end of something. And so expect more people from India, I imagine, as this expands. And of course, this has already been met by this sort of thing. Here's an NGO, of course, written in English, which is an interesting choice.
1 million yen is £5,000.
Okay.
So 10 trillion yen is not that many.
Okay. But they're investing money in India, is the important point. That they have intentions to better their relations, is what that signifies.
Actually, it's quite a lot.
Look at this. I was going to say the difference between a million and a
Yeah.
trillion.
I'm just I'm working out zeros at the moment on the converter. I don't even know how many zeros.
Orders of magnitude bigger. But that's classic, isn't it? Classic. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, there we go. You've got a bunch of women who have decided to betray their own country and people to the foreigners.
Language.
And language, yeah, and language. That's a great point. It's all in English. Why is that?
Yeah, it's be as one and things like that. And hang on a minute, that looks a bit interesting, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They're working for an NGO, and there's...
Yeah, a bit of communism in there as well.
Well, speaking of which, let's go to the actual Communist Party leader, because they do have
look at that.
a Communist
Look
Party.
at that bloody hell. We must
There she is.
Sorry, we must prevent the far-right xenophobes from gaining majority in the Diet. Oh my God, right. Japan, you have a duty to make sure your country is governed by the far-right from now until the end of time to stop this from happening. Trust us, you will find yourselves, you'll be like, okay, it's like, what, 1%, who cares? And then, I mean, at the moment, it's 25% of England is non-English, right? 25%. And we are having a ethnic uprising happening. Right? Just don't go down the road we've gone down. It's terrible. It's everything that you take for granted about your country, the safety, the cleanliness, the normalcy of it, the low crime, the feeling of belonging, like all of those things that you don't think about, they will disappear like that, right? Do not do this. There's a warning.
Commie Witch says, you must allow us to replace you in your own ancestral homeland.
Or you're a far-right xenophobe. Just accept it and move on and say no.
So I wanted to go through a few of the problems that they're already experiencing, just to illustrate that this is wrong-headed. Although, obviously, I've covered this a fair amount, but it's important to include it somewhat. So this one was a particularly egregious one. A Nepalese man was arrested for licking the thigh of a schoolgirl on, I think it was either in a train station or on a train, a young girl. And then when he was asked, he says, "I don't understand Japanese." I mean, I don't speak a word of Japanese. It doesn't mean I'm going to do that.
Things the Nepalese are really socially conservative. So there's no way in Nepal you'd get away with that.
No.
Like the brothers and father of the girl would be beating the living daylights out of you, if not gutting you with a kakuri.
Well, I think this is the phenomenon whereby whenever someone goes abroad, they think that there are less rules applied to them.
I think there's also a sort of self-selection bias as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that. This is a Nepalese sex criminal who has left Nepal for whatever reason, probably to escape justice, maybe, who knows.
Probably, yeah.
And now he's in Japan and doing what he does.
But this is exactly the thing you let in, if you let in people from other cultures.
Think about the reason that these people are leaving their own countries. They're not the winners from those countries. It's not like the people doing really well in Nigeria or Botswana or wherever else it was. Like it's not the people succeeding. It's the losers who are like, yeah, maybe I'll get what I want in a different country.
Here's another one. This is foreign tourists.
Oh my God, I hate
this sort of thing.
Oh my God.
I hate
the pram.
Yeah, I know. I hate this sort of thing. So this is radicalizing Japanese people.
It's radicalizing me.
Yeah.
I hate this sort of thing. Just inconsiderate. You know, it's called main character syndrome in Japan.
Big time.
Oh yeah, they say it up there actually. This is the kind of nonsense you'll import if you get more people like that. And this, I think this might be
you can't have nice things
for theft rather than vandalism.
Famously high trust society. Ruined almost overnight.
They're also having problems with the Vietnamese as well, because in Britain they're sort of green-fingered little fellows, whereas over in Japan they've got a taste for copper wire.
Oh, really?
It's a weird phenomenon whereby it seems like the Vietnamese as a whole, my parents were out there recently on holiday. Very polite, very welcoming, quite friendly, and can live in a civilization despite being quite poor. But the people that are leaving Vietnam to go to Japan are then causing all of these problems. They're basically creating criminal gangs.
There's a selection bias.
Yeah.
What the kind of people you get.
You say that, I'm sure there's plenty of Vietnamese people in Vietnam who are perfectly law-abiding and nice people, but I think per capita, the ones that are here are quite criminal. I think per capita, they're up.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah. They're top 10 nationalities.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
They're quite often in like a nail shop, which is actually laundering money or whatever, stuff like that.
I know in Scotland they're the third most overrepresented.
Yeah.
And that's because they are involved in all of the cannabis grow operations that pop up. Quite often they get sort of enslaved by criminal gangs that are involved in the smuggling.
Unfortunately, for the sake of time, we have to...
Of course.
They're the Albanians of the Far East. Got it.
So you've also got this. Pakistani immigrants demanding that Japan becomes more Islamic and complaining about celebrating Shinto festivals and how they get the day off. And that they, don't do that. Yeah. Do not accommodate for them. Of course, they've got the same problems that we've had as well, where Pakistani men are targeting schoolgirls. This is exactly the same. And one thing that is worth mentioning is that the Japanese aren't afraid to just drag someone to the police station. So they're going to be a bit more civically minded than perhaps other European or European countries, should I say, which is interesting. He's really going all the way there. And then
taking care of business.
So I suppose to close it, I want to see more civic mindedness. Don't disintegrate, don't allow the broken window effect to take effect, if you will, and just give up and allow things to degrade. Be very conscious that you have a civic duty. I think he was carrying them by the underwear.
That's a woman.
Funny. Yeah, I think so. But anyway, you should be very vigilant in defending your country, defending your way of life, because if you aren't, it will be eroded and destroyed by the liberal government you have, NGOs, and the liberal international order. That's what you're up against. You've got your back up against a wall, but things are already in motion. Things are promising for Japan in ways that they aren't in the rest of the Western world. So I hope it all works out for you.
まとめ、出演者は少子高齢化や対中戦略、アフリカの資源獲得、一帯一路への対抗を背景にした関係強化や人材受け入れの狙いを認めつつも、結果として人口置換やコミュニティの隔離居住区化、文化摩擦、治安悪化、年金や福祉制度の維持を国民や国柄よりも優先させるといった危うさを強く主張。さらにインドからの5万人を超える受け入れや10兆円規模の投資なども始まりに過ぎないとして、青天井の受け入れ拡大と政治家などの受益者側へのシフトを警告。具体例として観光マナー問題、ベトナム、パキスタン移民に関するトラブル報道等を引用。加えて特定都市への集中指定は米国のチャイナタウン等に似るが、移動の自由や地域分断の懸念を伴うと指摘。結論として日本は高い市民意識で公共空間の秩序を守り、選挙、政策で早期に軌道修正すべきだと訴えるという内容。